Hey everyone, welcome back. So we've had a few people ask us on like Instagram and YouTube and things about some of the differences in the Unparallel shoes that we've been climbing in. So Sophie's been climbing in the Reguluses for a little while, and I was climbing in the TM Pros for a little while. But they've just released the new versions of the TM Pros and a low volume version. So we thought, since we're lucky enough to actually have pairs of both, we could do a little comparison and try and work out what the differences are between them.
So we've been really lucky to be supported by Dark Ventures, who are the distributors for Unparallel, which is very handy for us. So yeah, they're kind enough to give us the Reguluses last year, and I've been climbing in these for about a year now, coming up to a year. You've been climbing in. You had TM Pros and Reguluses.
Yeah,
right,
but I only really climbed in the TM Pros.
Why?
I think,
Did you not like the Regulus?
I don't know, I was just drawn to the TM Pros more.
Yeah, without a comparison, I only climbed. Well, I've had other shoes, but as we're doing a comparison between the Regulus and the TM Pros, I didn't have the TM Pro low volume until recently. So yeah, I quite like my Reguluses. But it'd be interesting because they look very similar actually. Like, especially the toe area, it looks virtually identical. Like, in terms of fit, I'd say there are slight differences. But I think the main difference, like from a visual perspective that you can see, are the heels, that they do actually have slightly different builds to them. So TM Pros have the heel that kind of wraps around a little bit more in one rubber wrap. One rubber wrap.
One rubber wrap?
One rubber wrap. Whereas the Reguluses kind of have like a heel that kind of stops there, and then that bit, and then the sort of the slingshot round here. So there's kind of this no man's land gap here, which you kind of think, well, maybe that could be used like hooking on little knobbles and stuff.
Like, obviously what a shoe looks like doesn't really decide shouldn't really be what you choose a shoe based on, but like out the box, I think I prefer the look of the TM Pros. I get the whole kind of black stealth thing for the Reguluses, but I quite like the bright colours on the TM Pros. Then you don't really care about the colour.
Oh no, totally. Yeah, I mean, like, these match my trousers. I colour coordinate to my shoes on the day.
Yeah.
That's not true. No, I do like the colours, but I haven't had a black pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Mine aren't black. So in terms of like Unparalleled's history with Regulus and TM Pros, which one came first? Reguluses were built before the TM Pros came out, and the TN Pro, TN part stands for Tomoe Narasaki. So they developed this shoe in conjunction with, well, basically one of the top indoor bouldering champions in the world. So that's where the TM Pro came from. It was a sort of collaboration with Tomoe to develop a shoe that was basically would excel indoors, and especially in the comp climbing category.
Yeah, which is quite interesting because most comp shoes are pretty soft, and these are definitely in the kind of medium to stiff end of climbing shoes. That they're not super stiff, but they're not a real soft shoe either.
I mean, the rubber they'd been given as well, the
Yeah.
RH. It's like the middle band rubber.
Yeah.
Middle stiffness.
So it's going to be really interesting to see how they perform, and what we're going to do is we're going to climb outside with them and see how they perform, and then we'll take them inside and do some climbing indoors as well, because it'd be interesting to see if there's any differences. Obviously they designed, in theory, the TN Pro for indoor competition climbing, but you know, see what they're like.
Fine outside.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here at Rubicon. Nice limestone crag with some very steep and fingery boulders, but they've got limestone's sort of got quite a nice array of crimps, and then also like slightly more smeary. I don't know how you describe it. It's not like kind of gritstone smears. It's just polish.
Yeah, it's super. The footholds are super polished. It's going to be a real test to see whether how the shoes stick to the different holds.
So we've got some nice little edges. I think there are occasional few heel hooks as well, which would be good to put the heels between the two to the test, and see the differences in those.
Yeah, right. Get warmed up, get on the rock. I think what I'd do is probably put, I guess, one shoe of each on, climb the problem, and then switch it over. See if you can start noticing any differences between the shoes. I actually think the TNs were slightly easier to put on. I guess a slight thing between them. I'd say, I don't know if I'm imagining it or not, but feels like the TN Pros maybe just very slightly narrower, slightly lower volume down there. I'd say the TN heel fits the shape of my heel slightly better. I think I've just got a little bit of space there. I don't think that's going to affect how they climb, having that little bit of space, dead space, the bottom back part of the heel there. It doesn't feel like the shoe's going to slip off or anything like that, but it feels like there's a little bit of dead space in this one, and there isn't really in this one. Yeah, I felt pretty similar. There's slightly different footholds for each foot, so
All quite edgy.
yes, really polished though. But yeah, both felt fine on those, probably fairly equal.
Fairly equal on edges and prints.
Certainly, they were quite sort of toe-on edges, I guess. They both felt fairly equal on that, yeah. So, switch them over, see if the notice is different the other way around. Yeah, the TN Pros are definitely slightly easier to get on. Yeah, I think actually, now I've swapped the shoes over, TNs felt a little bit better. I thought it was just because the footholds were worse on that side. But actually now I've swapped the shoes over, the footholds feel worse on the other side.
Okay, so the TN Pros feel better to you?
Yeah, the TN Pros felt slightly more secure. I don't know if that's because they fit my foot a little bit better, or yeah, they just felt slightly more positive on there. Okay. Alright, let's see if we can find some other stuff.
You get pretty good purchase on the toes, on like limestone, the small edges, and even like, sorry, a small edge, it's more like a side paw divot, but on the heel it didn't feel quite as secure for me. I'm not sure if that's just like the shape of my heel doesn't fit in here very well. Like, just feels like there's a bit of excess space for me. But I'll stick the LVs on with the TN Pro LVs. Let's see how they compare. Yeah, just straight away I can feel that the heel's locked in a little bit better for me. Yeah, so heel feels better. Definitely feels like it sort of cups my heel shape a lot better than the Regulus's anyway. Pretty similar on the toes. Like this outside bit for me here is kind of snugger, just because I think like the way that the TM Pros like, hug in around the top part of the toes is a little bit more snug than the Reguluses on my feet. So if you've got narrower feet, it might benefit it. But yeah, it felt a bit better on this because it's slightly outside edge. First impressions, I have noticed that, again, like you were saying, Brett, that it is like a slightly narrower fit, like it does hug the outside edge of your toes, which means that like outside edging on that one, that hold there felt quite nice in the TNs. TN Pros were designed by like Tomoe Narasaki for indoor climbing, or for him to go indoor climbing, so I guess take them indoors.
So you're going to see what they like on the volumes indoors. So I picked out this pink problem. It's got big smeary volumes, so you can see how they stick to those. So they felt fairly similar on the volumes. Again, the main difference seemed to be in the heel. So just the heel on the TN Pro seems that bit tighter on my heel, so it just feels a little bit more secure. Like it's holding the foot better in the shoe.
Just gonna see the difference between the heels, see which one locks in better.
So we just finished our session at indoors, and
Well, they're very similar. Like, I don't know what you found. I found they performed pretty much the same on like any small edges, anything like crimpy or a small little, like, what do you call them, like a jib type hold. They were kind of just the same on the toe part.
yeah, I think some people have sort of suggested the Reguluses are meant to be a little bit stiffer or something like that. I can't really say I've noticed any difference in stiffness between the two. I think really it's just that slightly better fit for me on the TN Pros, both down the shoe and just in the heel. Just seems to fit my foot shape a little bit better. So yeah, but they are seriously good. Like I think
I know, yeah. I think I am sold on the TM Pros.
they
Yeah.
yeah, I think these are going to be my shoe of choice.
It's not that these aren't good. It's just that these fit my foot, like you were saying, a little like better. So you get better feedback off of holds. You feel that bit more secure and a bit more confident in the shoe, even on like a volume. Even though they're probably performing exactly the same, but it just fits better. It feels better. But yeah, the heel's the biggest difference for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these are just that little bit easier to get on and just that slightly better fit for my foot shape. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a win for the TM Pros from both of us. But if you've got slightly wider feet, or you've got like
a big heel or something.
Yeah, then probably the Reguluses are a better bet. Just depends on your foot shape, really. It's a slightly narrower, slightly wider fit.
Well, I hope that was useful for you. If you've got any questions about the Unparallel shoes, about the Regulus or the TM Pros, then let us know in the comments. Or if there's any other videos you want us to do on different Unparallel shoes, then let us know that as well. But yeah, thanks for watching.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.